Okay, so hello, our listener. Welcome back to B-iTalk podcast. Where we discuss biomedicine and bioinformatics in a nutshell. Back with me again, Albert, for today. Thank God I'm back. But today, I will be not alone. I will be with my friends Bernard, Jeremy, Karin. Uh, so today is the part two of the special part of the our podcast where we invite guest lecturers, to enlighten us more. For today, we invite someone from BI, unlike last time from BM. Today is the BI. So yeah, today guest is a lecturer from our university, from i3L. He obtained both his bachelor's and master's degrees from the biology department in Brawijaya University in Malang. He was involved in the COVID-19 drug discovery project in Nano Center, Indonesia, which also led the research team to elucidate the vaccine candidate for malaria using phylogenetic approach. Also involved in kombucha scopability study and population genetics projects with A-Star Singapore and Hua Chong University China. Currently, he is working on soil metagenomics and molecular identification study in collaboration with BRIN Indonesia in COVID-19 data mining project in collaboration with Asia University Taiwan. She also involved in IT empowerment of local primary school students and Python programming training for IT teachers in East Jakarta and high school students. He also involved as speaker in various bioinformatics related webinars held by i3L, Science Work, Indonesia, and also Tokyo University, Japan. I believe this is just only some of the big achievement that he has that we may know. There are also some other thing probably that we don't know, but nevertheless, let us just the person to introduce himself. So, let us welcome Sir Rizky Nurdiansyah.
Hello, thank you for having me. Wow, you really did a homework, yeah? So you already know a lot about me, actually. Thank you for the introduction. Again, I'm Rizky. Yeah, as you know, both of my degrees are actually in biology. But then I decided to go and work in bioinformatics fields after I did my thesis, actually, in bioinformatics study. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you heard from the man himself. Thank you very much, sir, for lending your time with us, for enlightening us, basically. So, Jeremy, what are the things that we're going to talk about, basically, for today?
Okay, so maybe we can start off this discussion with what we can actually do with bioinformatics in real life. Maybe apart from drug discovery, or maybe we can just dive deeper into the role of bioinformatics in drug discovery.
Okay. The field of bioinformatics itself, it's pretty wide, yeah. But I can tell you, at least from my experience. So actually, my thesis, my master's thesis, actually trying to looking for a drug. To be honest, not exactly a drug, but a substitute for a certain drug. At the time, the idea is that there is a protein called serum albumin. Yeah, serum albumin is usually used to treat for burn victims or some people with depleted serum albumin because it is pretty useful to body homeostasis. Yeah, so how the body regulates themselves. At the time, because if we want to treat them, we need human serum albumin. Our idea with my supervisor at the time, we try to look for an alternative. And then based on the structure of the serum albumin itself, and also whether if those particular proteins can induce immune reaction to your body. Well, in a nutshell, yeah, if you have a foreign substance to your body, the body will try to reject it, right? So if you want to make sure that substitute doesn't do any rejection, or the body doesn't reject the substitute, we also use immuno analysis as well, which is something that we can do in bioinformatics. After we try to look, yeah, we found out that the potential candidate is actually from the chicken, even though it still needs some kind of modification before it could have some kind of effect, yeah, to substitute the human serum albumin. The other thing that's what bioinformatics can do as well is you can actually try to look for the little microbes around you. So maybe some of you already take microbiology class, right? You can actually culture them in the lab, but the thing is, not all of the microbes are actually culturable. Some of them are really like to stay where they are. Like if it is a water microbes, they like to be in water. They don't want to be in your gel. They don't want to be in your petri dishes. The other one, what I did with the brain right now is with the soil. Yeah, they like to be in the soil matrix. They don't want to be in your gel matrix. So how do we get to know that kind of matrix? We use what we call metagenomics approach. So the idea of the metagenomics is that if we cannot really culture them, then we can take their DNA for us to identify what are the microbes in that particular part. So with the advance of the sequencing technology, yeah, we can take the sample from the soil, from the water. I did both of them actually, and then extract the DNA, sequence them, and then after that we analyze the DNA sequence to see what kind of microbes that actually living on this particular environment, and then potentially what can they do. Yeah, from that it actually leads to very interesting discovery, and then we found a new species as well, even some kind of new archaea, and then potentially we can have more like a new enzyme that we can work on, or a new biological product that we can use for a lot of things. Yeah. One thing that I also have a colleague right in Thailand. So she actually working for trying to look for microbes that can eat oil. Yeah, you know the oil. Yeah. So when they are actually there is an oil spillage, yeah, from the tanker or something. She tried to look for microbes, or at least the product of those particular microbes that could eat those particular oil, so that it will not harm the environment. So that's yeah. So some of the part that you can do with bioinformatics. Of course, there are a lot of others. Yeah, if you want to go for genetic testing, you want to see whether if you have some kind of predisposition to a certain disease, most likely like cancer or maybe another genetic diseases, you can also use bioinformatic analysis to test that.
Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of things that we could do. I think just from Sir Rizky said about what can do in bioinformatics in real life. So, but the next thing is in the drug discovery part. So you said that you discovered a substitution for unknown drug, the serum albumin, right, from a chicken. You said, what kind of BI techniques did you use in those examples? That
yeah, for a little disclaimer, so I didn't actually invent them, so it's more likely to see whether there's a potential for them. The approach that I use is using evolutionary approaches. So I try to look for the closest protein serum albumin with the human, from the other kind of animals from the animal kingdom. And then from there, if I found the one that is close, evolutionary speaking, then it usually have a similar structure with the one with the human serum albumin. And then after that, I combine and then I compare between those structures, see which one is actually closer to the human serum albumin based on its size, based on its structure as well, and based on other kind of protein markers, right? Like hydrophobicity, the charge, and a lot of other things. The other thing that I try to look as well is to see whether if my candidate is creating an adverse reaction when they are actually put into your body. One of the things is using the immunoanalysis to see whether it actually can trigger your immune system, like your B cell or your T cell. So if those two cells, is being activated, then it is actually thinking, okay, this one is not a good guy. This one is an alien substance in our body. Then we need to get rid of it. We need to eliminate those. So I try to see which of those my candidates is actually having the least adverse reaction to B and T cell. So the idea is that when they are in our body, they do not create any immune response. So after I try to look for a lot of serum albumin with the different kind of animal out there, even actually there is a sample from plants. The closest to the human serum albumin that we can get is with the least amount of immune reaction that it can create in our body is from the chicken. But then it still needs further analysis, right? Whether it is actually can be usable in the clinical setting. Is it actually having the similar effect when they are put with the human serum albumin, and so on.
Okay, I see. But among those, do you still use the something like a molecular docking or something like that, sir, or the visualization of the drug itself, right, sir? Something like that. It's still
visualization. Yes, visualization. Yes, because we need to compare the structure, right? Mm-hmm. But for the docking itself, we didn't because the approach from our side is to look at the protein itself. So there is no chemical ligands or there is some kind of complexes that we need to look. So we only use the visualization. For the other drug discovery that I did, like you mentioned that I'm also work with Nano Center. It does use molecular docking because at the time we tried to look for a drug for COVID from Indonesian herbals, Indonesian herbs. And then those Indonesian herbs have some kind of chemical entities, chemical ligands that we think it could interact with the protein from the virus. And then to see whether they can interact or not, we use molecular docking, and then we visualize them to see what kind of interaction that they have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, next. What skills should a student have when starting to learn BI that differentiates them within an average and a good bioinformatician?
Okay, bioinformatics, it is an interdisciplinary study. So in a nutshell, it is an intersection between biology and also computer science. For my experience, that the first thing that you need to have is an open-mindedness. I am from biology, so I work in the lab. I work with DNA and extraction. I work with even go to the national park looking for plants or something like that. But then when I jump into the field of bioinformatics, I need to learn a different kind of skill sets, which is working with command line interfaces, learning new programming languages like Bash from Linux or Python. So if it is pretty different world, yeah, because I'm experiencing more into the biological part, while the informatic part is something new for me. So what I suggest for people want to go for that is first you need to really open mind of the thing that you will deal with when working with bioinformatic parts. You need to have a little bit of a skill, or you need to learn programming at least, Python, R, or Linux. Yeah. But then you also need to have a little bit a knowledge, yeah, in the biological sides. Yeah, in the biological sides. Like if you want to go for genomics, so at least you know about DNA, and then what's constitute the DNA, how the DNA behave, for instance, and then the structure of certain DNA. Or maybe if you want to go for the proteomics route, then of course you need to know about the proteins. So me from the biological side, but most of my friends actually from computer science side. So the computer science guys is really adept in the informatics sides, but in the biological side, maybe they need to learn more about it. So the people from the computer science side usually have a little bit of specialization when dealing with the biological part. Like if I have one friend, a PhD student that working for algorithm for metagenomic analysis that they take from the hot spring. Yeah, from the detective hot spring. So because she actually working with metagenomics, she'll need to learn about genomic itself, the genes, the genome, and then a little bit of the microbiology. So how the microbes behave, and then what kind of things that maybe could exist in the hot spring. Yeah. So first thing first, the key skill is open-mindedness, and then from there, little bit of programming and a little bit of the biology, and then after that, have a little bit more into like what kind of field in the bioinformatics that you want to push into, that you want to fill in, something like that.
Sir, we discussed about the how a student wanting to start learning bioinformatics and what should they have, but what about what can a graduate, bioinformatics graduate can do with their knowledge and experience, maybe in terms of further education or applying it in industry, maybe in Indonesia or international? What do you think of the future prospects for bioinformatics graduates?
Okay. Let me tell you a bit of the story itself. So I know bioinformatics actually at the third year of my undergrad. So before I come into the biology undergraduate, I didn't really know about bioinformatics. But then on the third year, I know, oh, there is this kind of approach. I use only computers to analyze biological data. But then I tried to taking into deep that in my master's studies. Yeah, my master's studies. At the time, in Indonesia, at least, yeah, it was unheard of. Nobody ever talk about bioinformatics. Even the one that in my life, when I was working for my master thesis, it's only 3 people. Yeah, it's only 3 people. The lab is small. It's just a few computers with 3 people. But at the time, we don't really see a little bit of future, at least from my point of view, yeah. But right now, take it like I graduated in like 2015, so right now is almost 7 years. Now it's becoming boom. Yeah, you have a lot of startups working with the biological data that needs informatics tools to analyze that. Like a lot of in Indonesia, I believe right now there are more than 10. And even from the outside, yeah, you have this kind of lot of startups as well that working on how to use biological data in a very big manner that need informatics approaches to analyze them. So for the graduate for a bioinformatics study, you most of the time, you are going to work in the very usually in a research setting, that specialize in a certain part, in the certain part. Like there is a company working with metagenomics of the skin, to see whether the skin microbes community is actually having some kind of effect to your skin health, even until to your health in general. So if you want to work on that, then of course you need to have metagenomic skill sets, like, or at least some kind of familiarity on the part. The other one, maybe some of your seniors, the graduates from our institute as well, is working in a certain genetic testing clinic. So what he do is actually working with the genetic data from the patients, and then executing some kind of pipeline, or some kind of software, series of softwares, and then see whether of this patient actually having some kind of predisposition to a certain disease. See if this patient maybe have some kind of chance to get certain cancer, or maybe another kind of disease that could run in their family. So right now, I believe the prospect is pretty good. In Indonesia itself is getting more and more popularity, and even I believe COVID-19, it is one of the silver lining from the pandemic, because people are getting more aware, and even from the government is getting aware that this kind of field is needed if you want to, let's say, control epidemiology, the epidemic for a certain new disease, or sometimes, or working for a very complex data, and then try to use that analysis to create a new policy, or even to predict whether if how long this pandemic will last, for instance. So the prospect is getting better and better, and a lot of people are trying to work in these particular approaches. And even with a lot of people that I work with now, if they want to create some kind of research project, they will see whether if they can do something with bioinformatic approaches first, because it actually can be streamline their research method based on the intellectual approaches.
Maybe I have a question. I think it's more like your opinion. So I heard that there's a big stereotype in Indonesia that scientists is undervalued. So in your opinion, how researchers are valued in Indonesia, and what do you think for our prospect of future, whether it is better to work in Indonesia or just go abroad, sir?
Well, from my point of view, scientists is undervalued, more or less true, false, it is kind of like the true or false, the current situation in the pandemic is actually, I believe, increasing the value, the value, quote unquote, of the scientist itself, is that a lot of things that could be done by the scientists, and even the government right now, with the creating this new government body like this BRIN, is actually one of the way to create a comprehensive area that a lot of people can work and create innovation on that particular institution. Indonesia itself is pretty complex country itself, yeah. So yes, maybe scientist is not a rock star. I believe we don't have any Nobel laureate yet, but we do have a lot of smart people that still working for to unlock the potential of Indonesia itself. Yeah, the potential of Indonesia. We are the second mega biodiversity in the world. That's a lot of untapped potential. We have a lot of herbs, yeah. For instance, we have a lot of places that maybe have a lot of microbes that we didn't see before. That's another kind of potential. Even like in the national park, conservations, yeah, there are still a lot of things that we can do. In my opinion, is that I'm a little bit patriotic. So I'm trying to ensure that Indonesia, those potential of Indonesia is actually being realized, yeah, at least in my field of expertise. And then I also would like to teach the next generation that you can do this. Yeah, you can do this in Indonesia. Yeah. Going abroad maybe is one of the phase that I try to learn new things, and then coming back here again to teach that. Well, actually, even though both of my degrees are both in Indonesia, I did some kind of training in Germany at the time. But then those training in Germany, I actually applied in my classes. Yeah, I actually applied them in my classes, in metagenomic classes and also in genetics classes. So if you say better here or better out there, I'm going to coming back it to you. So for me, myself, yeah, I want to develop more Indonesian people. I want to make sure that my skills and my knowledge is accessible for as much as people as I can. And Indonesia maybe, and I want to do it in Indonesia more like maybe there's a sentimental value because I was born here. But then there is also that there are a lot of potential in Indonesia that's still untapped, and I want to realize that. So that's my take.
So maybe for our personal thesis and projects, relating to the same question, do you think it's better for us to explore the possibilities in Indonesia or try out something new in overseas and look into their research projects?
Okay, doing thesis here or outside, yeah. First thing first, if my student asks me that, I'll try to ask the students back, what kind of thing that you want to study? Yeah, what kind of thing that you want to study? If the thing that you want to study, it is applicable in Indonesia, and there are a lot of experts working those in Indonesia, then maybe try to go that route first. You go to Indonesia to the expert to the particular Indonesia. But then maybe if the topic that they want to study is not yet, a lot of people are not working in Indonesia, then you go abroad. When you learn, try to make sure that you learn from the best people as possible. Yeah, to the best people. Whether if the best people from the outside, then go outside if you have the resources to do that. But then if it is in Indonesia, one of the leading experts in Indonesia, that you can go to that particular experts. Yeah. So I cannot really say whether Indonesia is better or outside is better. It is more into like what kind of topic that you want to do, and the person that can teach you the topic of that. Yeah. If the person is in Indonesia, go there. If the person is abroad, go there. Assuming that you have the resources, yeah. So that's that. So I'm coming back to you, Jeremy or Albert. What do you want to do for your thesis? then try to look for the people that can help you to work on that particular thesis.
Okay, so that was a really good discussion. Unfortunately, the time is running out. I believe there's a lot that we wanted to ask Rizky, and probably he wanted to share a little bit more, but yeah, we have a limited time about what we can discuss. So let's just wrap it up, right? So bioinformatics. So what we can do about it? Mostly just not just mostly drug discovery, where the projects like Rizky mentioned, he discovered a substitution drug for like serum albumin and such as the field itself is intersection between like biology and informatics. So to make to be a really good informatician, you really need an open-minded, which is one of the most important thing. Not just in the informatics, but as a scientist, it's really you need to have an open-minded on this one. And other than that, you need a programming like Python, Linux. Of course, we're talking about biology. We need to have a certain level knowledge about biological science itself. And what kind of field in the bioinformaticians that you wanted to focus on? As Rizky mentioned, that it's not just like drug discovery only. You can like proteomics. You can also deep dive into genomics, right? And for the future prospect of bioinformatics itself, so it's already been developing, right? It already has a realization here in Indonesia. There's a lot of startups in bioinformatics fields that right now to analyze data, and most of them really works in the research settings. So yeah, it's the future prospect is becoming really good for those bioinformatics out there. So yeah, that is all from us. Once again, thank you very much, Rizky, for lending your time.
Thank you very much for having me as well.
Thank you. That is a really good discussion. We finally learned about bioinformatics more. So that is all from us from B-iTalk. And unfortunately, this is our last episode. So yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and share to those who really need to know about this. All right. I'll see you guys on the next occasions. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a nice
Bye.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Yeah.